Story time. Today we're going to talk about some unreasonably unfair inheritance expectations. Am I the a-hole for cutting off my parents because they plan on leaving almost everything to my disabled brother? This is a doozy. It has to do with inheritance. And that's often a point of contention for families and children and parents. So my 24 female, so she's a 24-year-old female, brother, 32-year-old male, is a failure to launch. He's never been very smart. He did badly in school and never went to college. Understandable, things happen. He tried 2 different trade schools, welding and mechanic, but he basically flunked out of both. He works at a gas station now. My brother and I are our parents' only children. They always treated us relatively equal until adulthood. They always insisted we earn our own way. They refused to pay for college or anything. I joined the military at 17. The girl did, right? Got an associate's degree while I was in military, and my GI Bill went towards my bachelor's. I'm working towards my master's now. My husband and I have bought a house and have done well for ourselves. My parents, however, fully paid for my brother to try trade school twice. They've given him cash when he was behind on rent and countless loans. They support him cosplaying as an adult, interesting. Meanwhile, they never paid for my wedding, education, nothing. I don't really care so much that they didn't give me money, but the disparity is how they've treated me versus my brother. Our parents are in their 60s now, and while they aren't that old, they both are in bad health and probably won't live another 10 years. They just recently started working on their will and notified us that they were leaving almost everything to my brother. That's the shocker. Everything is going to her brother. But they want me to be their medical power of attorney, manage their estate, etc. So the brother gets everything, but the sister has to do all the work, right? And if something happens, God forbid, they have some kind of debilitating disease, she's the one that has to take care of them and arrange all their kind of medical stuff. I told my parents to give my brother everything, and then I'm completely done with them. They told me to have some grace and understand the fact that he isn't very capable and needs their support even after they're gone. My mother had a doctor's appointment this morning and asked me for a ride since she medically can't work. I told her to ask her favorite child or pay for an Uber. Ooh, spicy. Things have been tense and hostile. My brother called me to apologize and asked me to not be mad at him, but I told him that I'm not mad at him. I'm mad at our parents for not treating us equally, and he didn't do anything wrong. Am I the a-hole? I meant to put disabled in quotation marks. Okay, so he's not really disabled. He's just himself. My mother refers to my brother as disabled even though he isn't. She's had him tested for every kind of learning disability there is. He just has a below average IQ. She thinks that counts as a disability when it isn't. Ooh, spicy. So there's a part 2. We're going to get into part 2. But let's see the comments first. But they want me to be their medical power of attorney, manage their estate, etc. This is a huge ask even if you stood to inherit. That's what I'm saying. That you're expected to do all the heavy lifting and then be your brother's keeper after they pass. It's a hell of a lot. Agreed. Info needed. Why can't your brother live with them, help them, and take them to appointments? I thought he does live with them. Seems like the least he can do. Can he drive? Is he disabled or just lazy? If he is that unintelligent, he might need to be in a conservatorship, or he will end up in trouble inheriting anything at all. Like you or appointed person control his finances and all. Interesting. So I'm holding off my kind of 2 cents on this. Let's jump into the update. So update. Hey, so the consensus on my post was a bit of a mixed bag. So people have replied to her post, and now she's had time to digest it, and now she's giving her update. Again, she's mentioned this before, but my brother is not actually disabled. He just has a low IQ, just over 80. You need an IQ under 70 where I live to be considered disabled and to qualify for any sort of benefits. My parents have babied him because from a young age, he wasn't as smart as other kids and had a low self-esteem because of that, and was quick to give up on things when they seemed too hard. He does okay on his own now. He works and pays his bills most of the time. He drives and lives with a roommate. Okay, so he doesn't live with the parents. He lives with a roommate. And from what it seems like, he's not a bad guy himself. He did call the sister to apologize on behalf of his parents. But I mean, yeah. I kind of think that he should talk to the parents as well. On to the update. I sat down with my parents and explained that I've always felt like they treated me worse than my brother. They always emphasized to me that as an adult, you need to support yourself and figure things out on your own. I had to join the military at 17 because I knew they kicked me out when I was 18. My parents never offered me any support outside of raising me as a child. They didn't buy my husband and I a wedding gift. They didn't offer much of anything. Meanwhile, they brag about having over $1 million in the bank and having succeeded from nothing. And they want to give it all to the son. Meanwhile, they paid to put my brother through 2 trade schools that he failed out of, offered him money to start his own business. They've always bailed him out when he was short on rent. For me, it's not so much about the money, but about the disparity in how we've been treated. It's obvious that they loved and cared about him more because they were willing to do these things for him and not me. But despite them not being there for me, I've still done really well in life. I told my parents about all of this, and they were interrupting me and talking over me the whole time. So she had an intervention with them, but they just didn't listen. They were interrupting the whole time. They told me I'm not entitled to a dime when they die, and that I'm an adult and can handle myself. That's fine. That's totally fine. But I'm not gonna help you when you need power of attorney or medical help. That's totally fine, right? They just weren't understanding or even caring about my point. They told me I need to step up and treat them better, and that it's wrong for me not to take my sick mother to the doctor or take care of her because of money. It's so weird. They just don't get it. They can't connect. How low is their IQ that they can't connect the two? Eventually, I just gave up on trying to talk about my feelings. They just don't care. I told them that they're adults and they're not entitled to anything from me. Just like how they were never required to help me. I'm not required to help them. I told them to completely remove me from their will. I'm not willing to be their estate executor, medical power of attorney, nothing. I don't want a dime from them at this point, and I suggested they spend all the money they've saved over the years to pay for really good nursing homes and an estate executor because I'm no longer willing to do anything for them. My mother was floored. Good. And asked if I really put my own parents in a nursing home. Yeah, she would. I asked if they'd really let their 17-year-old daughter join the army to get harassed by older men in order to go to school without taking on a huge debt. My parents cried and yelled at me, and I left, and that's that, I guess. I kind of feel relieved, like a massive weight is off my shoulders. I have a wonderful husband. We own a nice home. I'm getting ready to start working on my master's degree, and we're thinking about maybe having a baby soon. I no longer have to worry about dealing with my parents. They're adults, and they can deal with their own problems, just like I've done with mine. And yeah, that's it. Not sure if it's the update we wanted, but it is what it is. TLDR, my parents wanted to leave almost everything to my older brother because he's not as successful in life. I feel like my parents have always favored him over me. My parents don't care about my feelings and won't listen to them. So I told them our relationship is over. I don't want anything from them at this point, and I'm moving on. You go, girl. Totally agreed. Totally support 100%. NTA, I like how they told you that you're an adult and not entitled to their help, and you threw these words right back in their faces. They tell you they're not leaving you a dime, yet expect you to take care of them in their old age, drive them places, and handle estate when they die. Do they not see how ludicrous they are? 100%. They've spent so long using you as their personal doormat, they're not even able to break from their delusion that you'll keep presenting your face for them to step on. Congrats on your newfound freedom. Yes, they cried when you told them you were going to treat them just the way they treated you. That's how mean they've been to you. You made the right choice. If they can dump a vulnerable 17-year-old girl on the army, then they have no claims on your time and help. Honestly, I would have cut them off at the wedding if they had $1 million, didn't even give me a $20 vase or something. Who shows up to a wedding empty-handed? They don't deserve you, miserable old people. I'm so proud of you for taking a stand. Let them come crawling. This is, yeah, exactly what I'm saying. Now, just something that I wanted to chime in with. I wanted to tell you about different cultures and how they treat inheritance laws and stuff. So I lived for almost 8 years, actually, in South Korea. I was teaching English abroad, right? I moved to Korea in 2008 to teach English, and I kind of really learned a lot about their culture. So in the East Asian culture, let's say parents have 2 kids, a boy and a girl, which is very common, right? When the girl gets married, this is how it's been for the longest time. When the girl gets married, she gets assimilated into her husband's family. Okay. So she almost joins, she leaves her family and she joins her husband's family. So she does not get any of the inheritance from her parents, right? She's kind of written out. There's actually in Korea, they have like a ledger, kind of like a family ledger, I don't know, family tree kind of thing, where they record when they're born, and she gets deleted out of that and moved. That's what I heard, right? Don't quote me on this, but like gets moved to the husband's ledger and family notebook, right? So she completely foregoes any inheritance, right? Automatically. The son gets 100% of the inheritance. And if there's more than one son, it's usually the oldest boy that gets it. But he also bears 100% of the burden of taking care of his parents when they are sick. Okay, so again, I'm going to repeat that. The girl gets nothing, but she has nothing asked of her. When she leaves the family, I mean, of course, she's going to see her family, she's going to visit, and it's not like that unless she moves far away, right? She's not excommunicated or anything. But her responsibility is helping her husband take care of her in laws, right? So when the in laws are old, sick, or pass away, she helps the husband support the husband, right? Whereas the son, the brother, has the burden to take care of the family and 100% is responsible and most likely 100% gets the will and everything, all the assets, right? And the girl goes to the other family. Then her husband inherits from his family, and kind of that stays in, that trickles down to her and her family, right? That's kind of how it is in Asia. So it's interesting, right? You'd never think, unless you know that or you live there, you'd never know that's how they do it. Whereas in North America, right, in the States and Canada, it's more like, okay, maybe who's the oldest, or splitting it equally, or it's not so much male female, right? But here it doesn't fit any of these cases because it's not like, okay, fine, she doesn't get anything, but she's asked to be the will executor, the power of attorney, and the medical caretaker, caregiver to her parents. So it's like unfair, 100% unfair, right? Because she's given nothing but expected of everything. So exactly, not the a-hole. And I believe that they're taking advantage of her, and good for her for standing up to her parents.